Hey everybody, it's Mrs. Abrams with the next installment of The Adventures of Captain Underpants by Dave Pilkey. When we last left our story, the Lasermatic 2000 blew up Dr. Diaper's warehouse. So they all had to try to escape. Chapter 18. To make a long story short, they got away. Chapter 19. Back to school. George, Harold, and Captain Underpants made a quick stop outside the police station. They tied Dr. Diaper to a lamppost and attached a note to him. There, said Captain Underpants. That ought to explain everything. And the sign on the note on Dr. Diaper said, "Arrest me." The note on the police station door says, "Back in 15, please don't commit any crimes till we return. Thank you." Then George and Harold led Captain Underpants back to Jerome Horwitz Elementary School. "Why are we going here?" asked Captain Underpants. "Well," said George, "you have to do some undercover work here." "Yeah," said Harold, reaching into his backpack. "Put these clothes on and make it snappy." "Don't forget your hair," said George. Captain Underpants quickly got dressed behind some bushes. "Well, how do I look?" "Pretty good," said George. "Now try to look really mad." Captain Underpants made the nastiest face he could. "You know," said Harold, "he kind of looks like Mr. Krupp." "Harold," whispered George, "he is Mr. Krupp." "Oh, yeah," said Harold, "I almost forgot." Before long, they were back inside Mr. Krupp's office. "Okay, Captain Underpants," said George, "you are now Mr. Krupp." "Snap your fingers," whispered Harold. "Oh, yeah," said George. "You are now Mr. Krupp." "Who's Mr. Krupp?" asked Captain Underpants. "Oh, no," cried Harold. "It's not working." The boys tried again and again to dehypnotize Captain Underpants, but nothing seemed to work. Said Harold. "Let me see the instruction manual for that ring." George checked his pants pockets. Said George, "I think I lost it." "You what?" cried Harold. The two boys searched frantically through the office, but the 3D hypno ring instruction manual was nowhere to be found. "Never mind," said George. "I have an idea." He removed the flowers from a large vase in the corner. Then he poured out all the water over Captain Underpants' head. "What did you do that for?" cried Harold. "I saw him do this in a cartoon once," said George, "so it's got to work." After a few minutes, Mr. Krupp slowly came to. "What's going on here?" he demanded, "and why am I all wet?" George and Harold had never been so glad to see Mr. Krupp in all their lives. "I'm so happy I could cry," said Harold. "Well, you're gonna cry when I give that videotape to the football team," shouted Mr. Krupp. "I've had it with you two." Principal Krupp took the videotape out of his file cabinet. "You boys are dead meat." He stormed out of his office with the video and headed toward the gym. George and Harold smiled. "Wait till the football team sees that video," said Harold. "Yeah," said George. "I sure hope they like singing Purple Dragons." "Hey, look," said George. "I found the 3D Hypno-Ring instruction manual. It was in my shirt pocket, not my pants pocket." "Well, throw that thing away," said Harold. "We'll never need it again." "I sure hope not," said George. "But I have to tell you, there's a little warning on the back of the manual, and I'm going to read it to you. It says, whatever you do, don't pour water on anybody's head while they're in a trance. This will cause the hypnotized person to slip back and forth from trance to reality whenever they hear the sound of fingers snapping. Oh. Chapter 20. The end? Things at Jerome Horwitz Elementary School were never quite the same after that fateful day. The football team enjoyed Mr. Krupp's videos so much that they changed their name from the Knuckleheads to the Purple Dragon Sing-Along Friends. The name change didn't go over too well with the fans, but hey, who's going to argue with a bunch of big, strong linebackers? George and Harold went back to their old ways, pulling pranks, cracking jokes, and making new comic books. They had to keep an eye on Mr. Krupp, though, because for some strange reason, every time he heard the sound of fingers snapping, snap, 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 Principal Krupp turned back into... you know who. "Oh, no," cried Harold. "Here we go again," said George. Tra-la-la. There he is. And that's the end of this installment. We have one more to go, folks. See you then. Bye.